hop around offbeat, just go left to right while everyone else is going right to left. And just be wrong, but so right. So, I've been charged with speaking, charging 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. So, I've really been struggling with this. What can you possibly write down to say to a 3, 4, 5, or 6-year-old that they will remember? Absolutely nothing. But what can be done is you can deposit seeds that will one day grow into branches and fruit that they will recognize, realize, put to use as they come to age. And for me, coming here, this is an opportunity to come full circle, to be surrounded by friends and family that once deposited those very same seeds into me. Little Prince William, or Marcel, or Ma, however you know to call me, but I'm here, coming full circle now to speak to young people. And it's really strange to me to come back and see children that I'm like, I went to school with your mother. I went to school with your father. And wow, how much we've grown. So what I want to share with you all today while they are getting dressed, I believe I have time for it. So however much time they need, that's how much time we'll see of me. Okay? So what I want to share with you all, a backstory. Who am I? William Marcel Hayes, a graduate of Hartsville High School, graduate of Morehouse College, and graduate of Harvard University. And none of those things really, we can clap and applaud, that's wonderful. But the way the story starts here, it starts in a small town of Hartsville, South Carolina, where contrary to popular belief, we have little opera singers, and we have violinists, and we have great dancers who grow up to be great individuals one day. So applaud them for that. But my success can be summed up into 3 objects that I will forever carry with me: a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a wood furnace stove, and an old dusty pair of football cleats. How does that lead one to Harvard University? Really doesn't. But there's so much more to the picture. So, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, as many of you all know, I have 3 younger brothers. My lovely mother in the corner, helping to organize this. Yes, wonderful. But there was a time when we weren't so fortunate to be walking amongst the glitz and grime. You know, the fine suits, wonderful jewelry, the ability to go out to eat. There was a time where all we had was each other. And I remember moving to New York into this empty house, the 4 of us, and my mother. And all we had in that house were the clothes we carried, peanut butter, jelly, and a loaf of bread. And as we moved into the house, we gathered into the living room around this wonderful full course meal of peanut butter and jelly. And as we sat there, my mother said the greatest thing she could have ever said: "You all are my children, and you are great because of it. Don't ever let anyone tell you what you can't do. Dream big, work hard, and you shall accomplish whatever your heart desires." And I stand before you, a product of that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and everything else that went with it. So, we ventured down south, back home, back to the roots. And there's something special about being able to come back home. When you play the game of freeze tag, and everyone's running around frantic, everyone's going crazy, dangers all around you. He's about to get you, he's about to get you, run. Where do you run? Home base. And for me, home base was on 920 I Street, Cross the Creek. Now, I don't know if you all know much about Cross the Creek, but for little William coming back from New York City, I came to 920 I Street, maybe J Street now, depending on how they code it, and it wasn't a pretty sight. I saw kids all over the place that I did not know. I saw a grandfather that I really didn't know too well either, and it looked like he didn't care too much for me. But within that house on 920 I Street, was everything that I needed. And what many people don't know, there was a time when my entire family was in that one house on 920 I Street. 10, 11 individuals in one house with one wood furnace stove. I don't know if you know much about wood furnace stoves. They don't necessarily spread the heat like central heat does. And they don't necessarily stay on because you flip the switch and it stays on. So, needless to say, I learned that fire is hot. The closer you get to it, the hotter it is. So if you sleep in the room with the wood furnace, you are bound to burn up. And if you sleep on the other side of the house, you are bound to freeze. But even more than that, I learned the value of family, an extended family, and the contributions that individuals can deposit and make with your lives. My grandmother was there, my grandfather, my uncle, my aunts, my cousins, all in one house to experience all the trials and tribulations together. The power of together. The ability to run back to home base whenever you need it. I never had to worry about a warm-cooked meal because somebody was always there to cook it. The children never had to worry about who was going to be watching them, who was going to get home to take care of them, because someone was always there. Yes, it was a little bit crowded. No, we didn't have everything we wanted, but we had absolutely what we needed. And a seemingly terrible position was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me, because I was surrounded by words of wisdom. Now, Marcelo, watch your mouth. I don't care how smart you get. A bad attitude will get you nowhere. Right, girl? Now, boy, you stay in school as long as you can, because God knows you ain't good for nothing else.
Irvin James.
Irvin James. Because like I said, that wood furnace stove didn't just flip on and stay on. It had to be lit, you had to go get wood, and just a whole lot of stuff I really wasn't trying to do. So I took his advice and I stayed in school as long as I could. But even more than that, my family stayed with me. But beyond that, I learned the importance of a community. My mother knew very early that it was important for me to connect to something bigger than myself. So she signed me up for football. And my first day of football practice, I had nothing. And I mean, I just had the bare necessity, a pair of shorts, some little kids getting picked up, the ugliest little things you ever seen. My mother dropped me off, she said, go. And I said, I don't want to. She said, go. I said, I don't want to. She said, you're going. And I went. And after practice, I didn't know the individual, I didn't know him, but he took me home. And the very next practice, he brought me back, and he brought me these old, ugly, dusty pair of cleats. Mr. Jimmy Butler gave me my first pair of cleats in Hartsville, and I continued to play. And that gesture welcomed me into this community of people filled with mentors and advocates who helped me up throughout my times of struggle. Those people who surrounded me with love and care and attention that I needed, even when I didn't necessarily have it available to me. So I thank you. And I thank you for all that you've done for me. Look at what you see before you and imagine what they can be. All the potential that they have in the world, if properly pointed out, recognized, nurtured, cultivated, what can it possibly become? Because yes, I did go on to college and I did go on to do great things and help great people, but there's so much more that these individuals can do. All you have to do is believe that they can do it. Show them how to do it and stay with them until they do it. Never give up. If they were out here, I tell them, you're the greatest. Believe it. Live it. Show it. I tell one final story before I leave. Harvard University, the wonderful, the great Harvard University, where all the intellectuals find themselves, you assume the best and the brightest are there. But I found myself in a circle discussion around the topic of poverty, single parenthood, and living in a racially divided society. And we were all in this discussion, and a young lady, not in my skin tone, she said, oh my God, I feel so bad for those poor black kids in single-parent homes. They never had a chance at a good life. And just as in the movies, the jukebox stopped. And all eyes were on me as the hair on the back of my neck curled up. The milk from my cinnamon toast crunch curled in my stomach, and a calm came over me. It was the peace that surpasses all understanding. Glad. And everyone looked around to see how I would respond. And all I could think about was that peanut butter jelly sandwich, that wood burning stove, and those old dusty cleats. Madam, don't feel sorry for me, because I'm right here at the same table that you are. So, I tell you, when you know your value, when you're surrounded by people who recognize your value and cultivate your value, the sky is the limit. Tell these children to reach for the moon because they're bound to fall amongst the stars. Thank you.